That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5. Folks, times have been stressful, and in all honesty, we need a little vacation. But since we can't quite go to Disneyland or World, for that matter, at the moment, we decided to go we decided to go with the next best thing.
So, get ready to pack your bags for a road trip that will take us all over the Disney animation canon. Now, let's grab the high dad soup and pencil in our destination. It's time to take an animation vacation. And tonight, oh boy, folks, we're going to a very exciting destination. You know, last week we went to prom for Kim Possible. This time, it's recess. School's out. All right, so Dragon, we're transitioning from, the end of the school year, which is prom, into the actual summer vacation itself. That's kind of our little roadmap we're going on right now here.
Yeah, we went from inside the school to the outside of the school, essentially.
So, oh my God, Dragon, honestly, this has been a long time coming, folks. And Dragon, is it fair to say that recess school's out is probably the primary reason why we're doing these movies this month?
In all likelihood, probably, yeah.
I mean, this is it's been a long time coming. I've wanted to talk about this for so long. Dragon, I gotta tell you, revisiting this movie, I've always had a fondness for it. I've always kind of thought it doesn't necessarily encapsulate recess all that well in terms of it doesn't necessarily feel like what the show feels like on an episode by episode basis. But this is a perfect show for the recess fan, or the perfect movie for the recess fan. It's got all the callbacks, all the characters, every single character from the most important characters to the smallest bit players have at least one moment to shine. I'm sure you and I agree that we absolutely adore the Prickly and TJ dynamic. Just chef's kiss on that whole thing. And Dragon, I'm just gonna say it, rewatching it, this movie has kind of quietly entered my sort of Rescuers Down Under goofy movie echelon of really underrated Disney movies. I think this movie's fantastic. I mean, mostly the prickly stuff. I won't lie. The prickly stuff is really at the heart of the movie. But all the way around, Dragon, it's a great, James Woods is the villain. I think that the humor is pretty sharp and well written all the way around. I think it's got some really memorable gags. I don't know. I was expecting to obviously I gotta say, I rewatch this movie maybe once every couple of years. And I was expecting to like it, but I ended up just really, really very much enjoying myself this time around, Dragon. This is just a joy of a movie. It's nostalgic, it's fun, it really calls to mind the excitement and the lull of summer vacation. I really love how it kind of creates the lull that we can all relate to in a time where we might be confined to our house with no friends. It's not like anyone can relate to TJ's plight there. Am I right, Dragon?
Yeah, it's not like that at all right now for anyone. You're talking crazy talk, mister. I don't know.
So I just think this movie just holds up ridiculously well outside of the two CGI tracking shots, which dated, but they're a charming kind of dated. I
mean,
know,
still, it was for what it was, and bear in mind, one of my old, I think the best Bat movie kind of starts with maybe a little bit dated, but it really fit in well to that world, kind of opening with a CG shot. But to be fair, we got a really good map of all of our locations. It was impressive for the time, darn it.
Okay, we got Claude in the comments. Claude, I'm so sorry. I had an internet fiasco yesterday, and I literally couldn't even get onto Twitter to update you guys about it. The internet was so
I
bad.
told him to fix the little timer thing, but it, nah.
Dragon, no, you don't understand, Dragon. I physically couldn't do that. I have access to Messenger on my phone, but it's setting up other things online. It's complicated. My phone sucks. I have a cheap phone. So
point being, tech jargon for another day. Anywho,
yeah. So I'm sorry, Claude, but I'm glad you're here now. And James Woods, yes, James Woods, kind of is his sort of encore after Hades, if you will. All right, so Dragon, set the stage. What's your thoughts on this movie.
So, I got a lot of love for Recess, period. I think we all do to some extent. I mean, for me, of course, that, if I want to say it was during the Saturday morning block that Disney had, I mean, you had your Buzz Lightyear, Starkman, Recess. That was my Saturday morning as a kid, man. That was what I lived for. Oh my goodness, it was just so, Recess, it just, to me, I think, I know Recess came before this, but just for the sake of argument here, Recess was kind of the grounded version of Codename Kids Next Door for Disney.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah. I mean, it was very much kind of like, we have these kids who are kind of like, really, when they band together, they accomplish some amazing things, and many a time, kind of the authority is kind of in the opposition, but again, it's not like a ridiculous, like, semantical thing. Wait a minute, how could the Codename Kids Next Door kids, like, survive if they're really waging war on all things adult when they have parents and everything? How is that going to work? Like, you don't have any of those semantics. And how are they building these giant mechs and everything out of, like, 2x4 technology and like little 2x4s? How is that even feasible, man? Point being, you don't have to worry about that here, because again, we're in a very grounded and recognizable world. And again, I think that a lot of that translates to, again, there's just such a kind of like a relatable charm to Recess, which, I mean, kind of coupling with Kim Possible a little bit. Again, you had like a relatability factor, which I really think is what the key to these series really were at the end of the day. There was a relatability, there was kind of something the audience could really attach themselves to. And again, like, kids grow up, they have Recess, they have friends, little column A, little column B mixed together, you get a little bit of Recess. It's kind of like the fantasy. What adventures could you get into with your playground pals? What could happen? So the movie itself, oh my God, I remember the movie was an event, man. It was an event. It was one of those, for me, like one of those early, like, you tape it, you kind of tape it on the old VHS tape, for the longest time. I tell you, the only way I could watch this movie on VHS tape.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, interestingly, it did... bear in mind, I know a few things kind of came after this, but let's be honest, they're more kind of like cash-in-y type stuff. But this was the intended finale for the series. Again, little echoes.
As it should be.
Echoes for Kim Possible, and honestly for a lot of the Disney movies, because essentially these series were really kind of bookended with these big kind of movie events for the most part. These were kind of like the finales, the last installment. Either intentionally or just like, well, we're at the end of the run, they approved this for a movie, so let's go out on a high note with a movie. So we kind of have that here, and I know there's like an epilogue. I'll put you actually see him go to the 5th grade. This kind of like says we don't need to see him go to the 5th grade. So let's call the real finale like an epilogue. The point being, this is like it within all its glory, proper finale. It's really really good stuff there. Again, we get to see some nice character progression. We get to see kind of like round some things off. I'll admit, our side characters, like kind of TJ is definitely the star of this picture. I think TJ and Principal Prickly are kind of the stars of this piece.
That's the thing. It is a TJ and Principal Prickly movie, by all intents and purposes. The side characters don't get a ton to do, but like I said, Dragon, they get moments, and I think they do. Much like the Avengers philosophy. You know what I mean? Like with Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, all those characters aren't going to have like individual storylines, but they all have moments, and that's
importantly they all have a moment to shine in kind of the last outing.
Yeah.
So that's what's important here. And again, TJ and Prickly are very much kind of the glue of the whole series and kind of like the big connecting lightning rod of kind of the story, and basically what Recess really excelled at. Because my favorite thing with Recess was, as fun and funny as it could be, and again as well written as it could be, what really kind of made it stand out amongst all, like, the reason I would go to Recess before I go to Pepper Ann. Nothing against Pepper Ann, but it's just like the reason I would.
Hey, you're talking about the Captain Marvel of the DisneyToon cinematic universe.
Pretty much, but you know what I'm getting at, right? Pepper Ann was the fact is Pepper Ann, again, there was a charm there. Let's be honest, at Recess, it had the grit of like there was heart and there were like some really nice. We didn't get too serious with the issues, but you know what? There was an authenticity to the emotion. We actually got some heartfelt realizations in there. A lot of times with Principal Prickly in the mix as well. We had like those powerful character moments within the series, definitely translate into some of the scenes within this film. So that was quite nice and quite appreciated. And again, a reason I think when people revisit it, they have such a great time with it.
Oh. Okay. So, Dragon, why don't you sum up the plot?
All right. Plot goes a little something like this. Here's kind of the economized version, economized cell of the film. So it's the end of the school year for 3rd Street School, which means summer vacation. For TJ and the gang, problem, everyone but TJ is going to summer camp, going to a summer camp of some kind, leaving poor TJ sad and lonely. One could say, one is the loneliest number is the main lesson that he's kind of learning within all this. Anyway, so TJ's left to his own devices. TJ, in being left to his own devices, he stumbles upon a bigger than life conspiracy within Third Street School, as an extremist educator attempts to end summer vacation once and for all by using a next-gen, I'm not making this up, folks, by using a next-gen tractor beam laser to block out the sun and forcing everyone indoors. So it's up to TJ, Principal Prickly, and the gang to save the summer. And that's pretty much the movie.
Oh God, there's a joke, a demonetizing joke I could make that I'm not going to about the whole forcing people inside thing. All right. So Dragon, let's get into the characters. Of course, starting with TJ himself. Dragon, did you ever go through this as a kid?
You mean like
the idea? Yeah, kind of like where you have a group of friends at school, but then once summer comes and you all go your separate ways. Like, I could very much relate to that, man. Like, I had a good, strong group of friends in elementary and middle school, but I never could coordinate hanging out with them. It was always like when I was in school, I was like TJ, but then I don't want to say I was that cool. Don't get me wrong, but
I can't buy you wearing a backwards hat. You're not that cool.
But still, I don't know. My point is, I can really relate to the plight of having this built-in group of friends and then that security blanket kind of being taken away from you.
I can't relate to it like exactly as it happened, but something along those lines, maybe, yeah.
Well, I can't, to be fair, it's not like my group of friends ever went off to individual camps fit to their personalities or anything, but, the basic gist.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to maybe not specifically set during the summer, but I get the feeling, yeah, perhaps. Anyway, so TJ here, of course, we've seen TJ in many episodes of Recess, by the way, as the glue of the group, as the dynamic. We've seen TJ taken out of the equation, like there was like an episode where like he's like taken out of the leadership position, or like he's like imprisoned within the school, and it's up to the gang to kind of spring him. So TJ very much is the glue in the group dynamic. And here we take away, and we kind of pull a reversal here. Instead of taking TJ out of the equation, we take the friends out of the equation. We split them across the corners of the earth, as it were. And TJ faces a change, which, of course, I think with a lot of this, but especially with kind of summer vacation, the big theme of summer vacations, change comes with summer vacation. And that summer vacation, especially for your kids, signals, time passing by. And, of course, when the summer ends, you're back to the old grind. And, of course, the old grind is springing forward in the future. As your less and less summers are in summer vacations in this sense are in your future.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 weeks. 12 weeks. Essentially, 12 weeks. Your childhood is growing shorter, and your friends are moving forward. That's kind of what TJ is contending with arc-wise here. While TJ seems to be the holdout. He's the holdout, and he's trying to bask in it. He wants to bask in it. Everyone else is like kind of springing forward until like, yeah, let's his friends just moving on, saying, yeah, like they're not realizing until we get to a big pivotal scene in this movie. Oh yeah, that's 12 weeks we're going to lose. That's like, yeah, we're kind of eager to get to the future, but what are we losing in the process here?
Ooh, Dragon, I think I know the element that you can relate to in all this, all right? What about Halloween and trick-or-treating? Just losing out on that, the anxiety of like, oh God, but we only have so many years left.
Yeah, that's a sad one. Anyway, so
it's almost like the last trick-or-treating is almost like as tragic as realizing that Santa Claus isn't real,
Yeah.
It's like a coming of age. All right, I'm sorry.
All right, so I love that in this situation, in this conflict, no one's the bad guy. No one's in the wrong here. TJ has a way of feeling bad, and so does the gang. Again, they want to move forward, and again, they're not in the wrong for like just wanting to go with their summers. And TJ, of course, it's a very relatable position. He just doesn't want to be left alone. Again, kind of realizing, again, they both kind of come to that unifying realization. Like, yeah, we don't want to be. We only have so many left. We should band together here. We should stay together. But again, it's a natural part of growing up. And again, like there's the sad. TJ's living with kind of the sadness of this fact. With the gang, you're looking at the optimism of like the future.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to speak too much to the dynamic with Prickly until we get to Prickly. That's another big thing.
Let me speak to this. I'm sorry, do you on?
No. Go ahead. Go
Let
ahead.
me speak to this half of it then, with the TJ side of things here. So,
Okay.
to me, it seems like TJ, he's clinging to the notion of, with the whole plot of the movie, he's clinging to the notion that if I can save summer vacation, I can solve my existential dilemma here. And of course, ultimately, what Prickly is going to give him, kind of a new perspective on the matter. Basically, TJ he's like a kid, very much like a kid, which TJ is. He sees the world in absolutes. Kids see the world in absolutes. Which is why throughout the course of the whole series of Recess, TJ, he's pulling off these big capers, to combat essentially the man. I'm using the man very specifically here because we're going to be talking about the 60s throughout this piece here. But seriously, he's been kind of going up against kind of the authority, the authority figures, and kind of looking at the world in these simplistic. Teachers are saying no to this. They're saying no. We got to band together and make it a yes. So again, seeing the world in absolutes. Where in reality, as he kind of learns through Prickly and through the whole situation here, there's nuance and truth within a situation, which again is the wisdom that the kid rejects. Because if he knows this wisdom, he is forced to grow up a little bit, which TJ, again, given the predicament with his friends, is as a character, he's kind of fighting against that. So he's fighting against the grain. He's fighting against the change. It's what he needs to grow and what he needs to kind of grow as a character. It's all really interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right, you pretty much summed it up, Dragon. I don't really know what else to add there. You kind of did a deep dive into the TJ Detweiler character arc, if you will.
Would you like to speak to the family dynamic or any fun gags?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's not much of the family to add, and we already have Becky for another section, so. Right. No, not really. I think we just move on, Dragon.
Yeah. Let's talk about the real star of this picture. Let's talk about Principal Prickly.
Yes. Now, if you can allow me to take the lead on this.
Yes, take the lead, man. Go with it.
Yeah, I love Principal Prickly in this movie. Oh my God, the whole idea, Dragon, the whole idea of realizing that these curmudgeon-y adults used to be kids, and the whole idea of the adults standing up for recess. That's such a beautiful notion in this movie, and that's why I really just absolutely respect the heck out of this movie and think it really holds up. I don't know, man. I mean, God, there's so much to like about Principal Prickly and TJ's dynamic. You've just got. To me, it's kind of like a more heartfelt Dennis the Menace, if you will. I've always kind of had that connection between Prickly, because it's always Prickly is just kind of like the. The curmudgeon-y neighbor, if you will, where he's just I'm sorry, I forget the Dennis the Menace neighbor's name.
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, there you go. Thank you. But, he's kind of got that Mr. Wilson quality to him, where TJ is just the menace, But then deep down, he loves the kid. He cares about the kid, and that really shines a light on their dynamic throughout this movie. It's quite beautiful. It's quite lovely, and I think it really speaks to the best of principals. And I feel like throughout this series, Principal Prickly he's always tried. That's the joke, is that he's always tried, but he always kind of comes up short. And you know what? In this movie, I feel like there's a finalized kind of God, that last moment. Go play with your pals, Detweiler. It's a nice summer day and your pals are waiting for you. Just that's so beautiful, Dragon. And it's that, to me, Principal Prickly and TJ coming to a mutual respect for one another. That, to me, is almost as fulfilling as Ron and Kim getting together at the end of the Kim Possible movie.
Yeah.
It's a series-long arc.
Sure. I was hoping you meant it that way. Yes. So, Principal Prickly, of course, the wonderful Dabney Coleman, by the way, gotta mention him. He's so great. I mean, the most recent thing I saw him in, he was in Santa Clarita, died a couple of years back.
Was he really?
He had a really fun guest spot on. He has a really fun kind of character with, a really fun story with Timothy Oliphant for an episode. It's really, really funny. And he's, of course, the thing I'm always going to remember Dabney Coleman in live action is he's in Inspector Gadget. He played Chief Quimby in the Inspector Gadget movie. Not a big role, but he's kind of making snarky comments throughout the whole thing, which is kind of funny. Point being, great actor, Dabney Coleman. Anyway, so of course, always my favorite character from Recess, and this is his story to shine, man. We explore the side of the Prickly. We touched on here and there within the series. It's that I always loved in Recess, where deep down, Principal Prickly is a big kid who make no mistake, he chose this job. He kind of, no matter how much he acts like, he always acts like I've been settled with this job and I just want to get it over with. You know, he's always like griping about the job, but he chose it. And we explore that in this movie. No, he did in fact. You know, he don't get me wrong. He kind of got into. He was kind of elected for the job, but he stuck with it for a reason. You know.
Mhm.
And again, he's not always like seeking the glory like he pretends to be all throughout the series. You know, he's always been like, you know, a little opportunist at times, but deep down, like when it comes to like protecting the kids, he's always there for them. But he's never like he's not wearing it on his sleeve, so to speak. I mean, at the start of this movie, take this for example, like Principal Prickly, he's just playing golf with his buddies and his therapist, I think, which is kind of funny. Anyway,
I love that.
so Principal Berkeley he just wants to golf, and again we know like he later on, like, you know, he admits to TJ, no, I didn't just go because you talked me into it. I wanted to help you kids. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like he was there for TJ for a good reason. You know, and deep down, again, as you say, I think he sees TJ as a good kid, but not only that, he sees a little bit of himself within TJ, which again they've kind of touched on a little bits, and my favorite bits and pieces in Recess, like the Senior Fusion thing is my favorite Principal Prickly TJ thing ever in the whole series, where they were like geeking out together over Senior Fusion to see the movie and take the whole school
Yeah,
field
yeah.
trip to the movies. One of the best episodes. So yeah, he sees in himself a side that he can't express anymore in TJ, which maybe deep down is a little jealous of, but also he longs for. And then the flashback. We got to intersperse the flashbacks in here. So let's talk 68, man. Prickly.
Oh boy, I don't even know where to start, dude. First of all, I absolutely, the designs on Prickly and Finster, young Prickly and Finster, just priceless, just absolutely priceless. It's like, it's so
Prickly looks like John
exaggerated.
Lennon.
Right, right. It's so exaggerated from what they look like in current day, but yet it still really, really fits.
Yeah.
Dragon, really quick, Claude's kind of like asking us about a Recess reboot. Gotta be honest with you, Claude. I think the original still holds up. I don't really know what we could do with a Recess reboot that we didn't already do with the original series, if I'm being honest with you. Maybe like Recess the New Class, where we explore, you know, like a new cast of characters, and then have Principal Prickly and Miss Finster as the two reoccurring characters. That might work. I just don't think there's much more we can mine from the original cast, and I feel like this movie ended on such a satisfying note. I don't know, Dragon, what do you think?
I have a bit of a fear in modernizing Recess because it just kind of hit the perfect niche of, again, it's like, it's not, I don't want to say it's not even really that dated. It's like, I mean, I think maybe a time or two we touched on cell phones very briefly, but even if my point is like, I don't know, maybe if we modernize Recess too much, we kind of corrupt kind of the basic necessities, like all the value within the playground. People have phones, you know.
That's
kind of
another really good point.
That's my fear in revisiting it. And it's also just
But
like,
if we don't modernize it, and if we have it be kind of like a callback to like the time right before smartphones, like Recess was, then it could be interesting and nostalgic.
logically, it would have to be your idea, though. Like, it has to be a new class, which again is also another gamble. Will people be able, like, people love the original cast, but by the same token,
I said, if we have Prickly and Finster there as the as the anchors to the show, I think it could work.
That's maybe. I'll give it a maybe stretch on that one. You know what? Maybe I could be sold on that, perhaps. You know, this fictional show.
Of course, it all just kind of depends on the quality of the cast of characters you have.
Yeah.
Oh God, what if TJ was king of the playground?
Well, that could be fun. I think we flirted with something. Well, I think who did we? I know we made some. I forget if we made Gus king or what for him.
I think we made Gus king of the playground at one point.
I think it was Gus. Yeah. Right. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm drifting off here. Because remember, TJ had gotten the whole plank war with King Bob, which was awesome. But anyway, and with a whoopee cushion. Darn it. Okay, so 68 here. So 68. So, as I mentioned, I love that we learned that Prickly, he was kind of reluctant. He reluctantly took the job of his friend there. In that, again, because he was the man for it, though. It's because I love that, he didn't, like, and many times in Recess again, we play with the whole opportunistic Prickly. We see like he wasn't campaigning for a job. He wasn't. I want power. I want to, I want to be the principal. I want the career path. We see no. Prickly was very much in his youth. He was much more kind of the friendly educator. He was very much kind of a Miss Grokey, if you will. He was very much like just getting into like, yeah, let's have one class outside, man. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be groovy? So it's again, he was the man for it because he cared about the kids, which I love that we kind of bring out through the course of the movie. Really he gets really in touch with that with this kind of his grand adventure, kind of his past, kind of coming back to haunt him. Again, Prickly is the lightning rod for all this because he's the vendetta within all this. He's the target. He's like he kind of in a way almost Iron Man 3's this thing, man. He almost it was almost like he left the Mandarin standing on the roof essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's in a way, it's kind of funny. When doing this flashback, we've recontextualized the character in a really beautiful way. Seeing in all the bluster of Prickly in all those episodes, you look back, where he really did care, man. It's like that's the thing. He's just always kind of putting on a little bit of a show there. Like he's lost his way a little bit, but deep down, he's still that guy, which we got glimpses of. So really cool thing the movie did in that regard. I mean, now Tiki, we should talk about the big moment, the big speech, the best scene in the movie.
Go ahead.
Oh my God, the speech that Prickly has with TJ, just about when he used to love summer vacation. Well, basically, when TJ questions Prickly's love for summer vacation, like Prickly gets stern with him, man. He stands up. And again, Prickly, he summons all the determination a man can have without wearing pants, because just wearing like the polka dot. It's the only thing that bugged me when I was like, why did they take his pants, man? Of course, it was so he wouldn't run off, but still, give him some dignity, give him some pants, and there's revenge, and then there's pants. Anyway, so. Point being, so all the sternness and all, like, I think it's Dabney Coleman's finest performance. What he does here is just the cornerstone of the whole film here, where he faces TJ with. The fact is, TJ has blinded himself to the information that Prickly is dodging here, so he kind of informs TJ, so essentially he grows a character. He doesn't. I'm gonna let you in a little secret. All the adults you ever knew, they were kids once. And sometimes Prickly just looks out of his window and he sees those kids, and he's, they don't know how good they've got it. They really don't. In a few years, they'll all be grown-ups like me. It's all just going to be good time. All those good times are just going to be memories. And it gets that big crescendo, where it just says, so don't you ever say, yeah, sure, make fun of my saggy butt, like put
right, yeah,
do all that, but don't you ever say, and this is where Coleman earns all the brownie points, man. Don't you ever say I don't care about summer vacation. Those memories are the last part of my the only part of my childhood I got left. And that's powerful. And you hear the pause, man. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you're looking at the power in that scene. Are you questioning why are they in a bird cage? Why is there a bird cage in the scene? You don't care because of that performance. And again, it's the codependent arc of these two characters. It's fantastic the way they feed into each other and they allow each other to grow. He's rekindling the fire of '68 through that scene and going forward.
Well said. Well said. Okay, now let's talk about the villain of the piece. William Benedict. By the way, just fucking amazing villain name.
Yeah, this is my other favorite character of the film. As a kid, I loved William Benedict.
It's such a smart idea, Dragon. It's such a smart idea. The whole, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the whole laser beam to the moon thing is a little ridiculous. But a villain who wants to take away recess to improve test scores. I love how that's like the, essentially the Thanos of recess.
Yeah, and again, we kind of toyed with that once in Recess. There's this one episode where basically the gag was the higher ups of education like flirted with the idea. What if we took away recess? And they took it away, and then basically what they did is they rebranded it as a Recus. We'll bring it back as Recus, and they got all the glory points. Oh yeah, this wonderful thing now. It's like a foreign. Oh god, it's ridiculous. So the point is like the kind of the more dramatic version of that.
Mm-hmm.
What if a crazy man, of course, voiced by the incomparable James Woods. Of course, I mean we all know he's such a good actor, man. We love James Woods. Of course, he's incredible as usual, but of course, I love the character he cultivated here. And this character never left my mind as a kid. He was the most memorable element of the movie for me, William Benedict. Because I love the idea of this character because he was so alien to what we've seen in Recess. Just kind of this debonair dressed man who's just like he has a cane, he's got a mess. He's like this is like the. I don't want to say this is the first because again, there was Hercules, so I can't really. I know Hercules came first, but I don't know why. So I've always loved this James Woods performance. I don't know if it was like maybe with Hercules, he didn't realize it was James Woods before he knew the name. I guess I don't know. The point being, he's just such a vain and fun character. He's kind of like an evil Howard Hamlin in a sense. Think about it.
Kind of.
And the whole vanity of it all. And again, like a guy who, again, technically, here's the thing. Fillion has a diluted point, but he has a point where, again, if you want to raise test scores, keeping kids on the inside, well, again, before we have like the advent of all the smartphones and everything, again, that would kind of like, well, you got nothing else, you might as well like study or read a book or something. Like, so again, it would again, but again, importantly though, he's not looking at that for the benefit of humanity, or the benefit of education for children. He's looking at to give himself like, I did this big historic thing. Give me all the career points, man. That's the thing. It's all about his career versus the kids. And that's what I'm like. That's what I really like here. Where again, he has like the style of Howard Hamlin. He's very much kind of the vanity of like he's the pretty boy. You know, he's the ill-tempered pretty boy. Essentially, that's his gimmick here. It's like, what if you took all the charming. All the charm out of Howard Hamlin, in a sense. The last time I'm going to mention, I know I keep leaning on the Hamlin thing, but you know what I'm talking about, though. A little scary.
Oh,
So in '68, what's really interesting on the rewatch, I never thought about this till I had to rewatch the movie like this, is that you see a man he starts off as kind of this easy rider, a literal easy rider cool guy. The Captain America helmet and everything. I know I'm not just driving a Marvel reference. And then back in the day, that's what he called himself, the old Captain America. Peter. God, I'm blanking on the name, but the point being, you know the guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda. Thank you. Yes, Peter Fonda. Old Pete. Yeah. Anyway. So point being, you have this guy in '68. You know, he's kind of the easy rider, cool guy who's really he's rushing into the future, almost like a Shape of Water thing. He's looking into the future. He wants to be the man of. He's looking forward in the decades. The '60s kind of gives a man perspective, especially the end of the '60s, where we're going to the space race and all that sort of stuff. So this guy here. He sees that the fad is ending. He's embraced the '60s, but he's only using the pickup chicks, and again he's using it for the vanity side of things. That's all he's doing. That's why '60s are good for the companionship and everything. But look, we gotta look. He's a man in '68 looking towards the '80s. He wants to be the yuppie of the '80s. That's who this character is. Yeah, I love that.
Right.
I love that he's against the man who's kind of he's becoming the man for the glory of it all, and that's of course where we are now in the story here. Like he's just kind of this guy with a vendetta, really ridiculous vendetta too. Where it's like
you know what? It's kind of ridiculous, but at the same point, it's I mean, people do get each other fired, without meaning to. I mean, it has happened. I mean, I don't know. I found that element a little bit relatable, to tell you the truth.
No, let me be clear to you. I mean, I think it plays perfectly fine in the movie. I'm just saying for him, like again, like he's so deluded, he doesn't realize how ridiculous this is to blame him. But again, it's like because again, he was off. This was gonna happen eventually. You can't take away recess and the kid. The parents are picketing. It was an inevitability. But yeah, it's. Mm-hmm. But again, him blaming Prickly. Of course, we the audience said, "Oh no, Prickly didn't do this. Look at the surprise on Prickly, Philly. Look at it. Don't cause a whole revenge." But
right.
That's the thing. Like this guy, you gotta remember. So the thing we kind of glaze over in the movie until you rewatch is he was the Secretary of Education. As in this guy, again, kind of the yuppie '80s mentality, all the way in '68. This guy, he climbed the ladder. He was working for the president. He went mad with power, and again, once he was kind of laid off for the whole recess extremism thing, his whole deluded plan here is he wants to end summer vacation to impress the president, which is crazy when you put it in context. That's why he's doing all this. And again, like, here's the thing: there are obvious holes in his plan here, which again, we the odds were having such a good time with it, we don't notice this. But that's the point, though. You could always chalk it up to he's crazy and nice thinking about these things. There are obvious holes with his plan. One, it's very illegal what he's doing. Two, he's building all of this within I imagine 2 weeks. I don't think they're gone that long within the summer vacation. We start that montage because the school has has a breakaway ceiling now. I don't know how that works. And why ninjas? Just why? How does he have ninjas?
You know what? I'm gonna say one thing. The ninjas to me are the one thing in this movie that get a little bit too silly.
Disney was very ninjas happy with these TV series.
Oh yeah, between this and Jake Long and
the Sumo Ninja and the Hey, very ninja happy. That's the thing. Here's why. It's a ninja because we have bad guys who can't use guns, so we have martial arts. That's why. Okay, that's why we cannot have a gun in a recess movie. No, the shareholders will drop. It's like a bad habit. So one last thing I want to mention with Philly here, and we'll move on unless you have anything you'd love to get in here, by all means.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So basically, looking at this character in parallel to TJ and Prickly, this is a character who, again, much like TJ's friends, in a sense, he's a character who's in a rush to grow up. But again, with a grudge, the grudge that he holds since '68, and all his tantrums, because he just yells out. This James Woods yelling at a lot of people, which is awesome, by the way. No, not knocking that. Just James Woods yells at a lot of people in this movie because he's playing such an ill-tempered guy. So basically, this guy, he wants to grow up. He's in a rush to grow up and go to the next thing and impress the president and everybody. But he'll never be able to do that if he holds on to this grudge and has all these little childish temper tantrums, which is kind of a great thing with his character, I felt. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to everyone's favorite, Miss Finster.
Yep. As Claude says here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Claude says, I love that the villain used to date Miss Finster.
Oh, yeah. Let's face it, Philium. I just can't go with a man who doesn't love recess.
I'd rather eat playground dirt. That can be arranged.
Okay, so God, I mean...
Yeah.
So, Miss Finster, she doesn't get a ton to do in this movie, honestly, but she has some of the most memorable moments.
Yeah, she's our biggest touchstone of status quo.
Randall, go grab the butter!
God. Miss Finster, of course, classic staple of the status quo in Recess. She's in the opening, for pity's sake. You can't have Recess without Miss Finster. She's like Miss Piggy, almost. Has a miss in her name. Anyway. So again, she's also kind of an example of the Principal Prickly arc in that she's going. We start in the traditional place. Okay, Prickly and Finster, kind of the.
I'm going to take down that brat Detweiler and his Weasley friends. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what I love, just since you mentioned that, I love that in '68 when we see Miss Finster, she is fun-loving, but still sounds like adult Miss Finster.
Exactly.
I love that detail. That's just hysterical.
God.
Anyway.
Oh boy.
All right. My point was, so I like that again with our authority figures who were kind of our quad. Again, they weren't bad guys by any stretch. I'm just saying they were the authority figures, therefore in opposition to our guys. They were the antagonists, in quotes.
I feel like Miss Finster, especially, was definitely marketed as the villain of the show. Honestly,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So in that sense, like we start Prickly.
I feel like Prickly was the character who had more layers to him.
You're right about that. And that's what I'm saying. I like that we start our characters out in kind of their usual status quo ways at the start of this thing. Then we kind of back the layers as we go forward.
I'm sorry. I have to point out, Monkey. Just now, I have the image of Finster doing the a little dream sequence from Muppet Vision.
Well, we know she's Huluing. Anyway.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. So anyway, so basically, yeah, Miss Finster, she's working for the district. She lives to be the Hammer. She's not a monster. We've always kind of had this thing with Miss Finster, where sometimes, again, even with her at her most kind of antagonistic self, she's never been a monster. She's really good at doing her job, which is bringing. She's the Hammer.
Totally.
And in '68, we kind of peel back a little bit of a layer where we reveal she does care. She cares very much about Recess. She didn't side with Philly when apparently she was dating him, which go figure. Oh, the T just says, I'm still
dream a little dream of me.
Oh God. Anyway, the point being, we saw a little bit of kind of the more fun-loving kind of quasi flower child, Miss Finster.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I like that throughout the course of the film with Miss Finster, she's witnessing kind of the craziness that's going on. Then again, this running gag with the cops, where everyone goes to the cops. It's like Gremlins. We go to the cops, you tell them what's going on, and like Jonathan Banks just like not believing it. He ain't buying it. That's right, kids. Jonathan Banks. Check it, fact check. You're going to see I'm right. Anyway, so point being, we witness all the craziness here, and the cops aren't believing it. It's just they're running some sort of ninja school. Some ninja training camp. Yeah, we'll call Jackie Chan the sword out. Of course, I'm thinking, as a kid, I'm thinking, oh my God, Jackie Chan crossover. Never going to happen.
Oh God. That would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Very impractical. It would never happen, but still.
It's like he goes to the school for like a martial arts demonstration or something like that. Gets mixed up in some wacky shenanigans.
Yeah, Jade instead of Spinelli leads the kindergartners, like a whole thing.
Oh God.
Okay, anyway, so let's see. Uncle and Miss Finster bond somehow. I don't know. Anyway, so it's kind of like karma coming back to bite Miss Finster with the whole no one believing her and everything, so it's up to her. But again, in major points, Miss Finster is the cavalry in this film. She brings the teaching cavalry when they don't have an army. Well, they don't have an adult army. They go against all these ninjas. The kids can only do so much. So we bring like the teachers and the staff and the faculty. Miss Grokey doing karate, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She takes down that creepy bald guy, voiced by Clancy Brown, very well. My God, she boxes the crap out of that guy. I think Miss Finster's shining moment in the entirety of Recess, for my money, is that moment with TJ that she has, and it's like a fist pumping moment where, after she beats the crap out of the creepy bald guy, she's, "Oh, thanks, Miss Finster. Is just doing my job, Detweiler." And that moment,
okay, the fist pump. Yeah. That's a great moment, but the fist pumpy moment for me is when she crashes through the ceiling and fucking quotes Pink Floyd. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone.
God. Well, if you're gonna quote Pink Floyd in any of these movies, might be the one with the 60s.
Right.
Okay, so
although technically the Wall came out at the end of the 70s.
Well, okay, there goes my points. I forget what I just said. All right. Anyway, so I just love that moment of, like, again, she's doing her job. She's doing my job, Dale. She's protecting these kids, and even though TJ's always been nipping at her heels in a sense, you know what? She's gonna look out for. Again, it's a little bit of that Mr. Wilson thing too. Like, she'll knock a sucker out for these kids. That's like a All right. The education system has a chance, yeah.
So it's time to finally get the show on the road with our roadmap here, Dragon, and we start with Recess itself. And man, how good is this opening sequence, stealing the ice cream? I love it. I love it. It's a classic scheme.
I love how much mileage we get at this thing. This is like, I think, some of the best movies. Look at the Pixar movies. Look at a Toy Story 2 or a Toy Story 3 even. You start a movie off, you kind of set these things up, they're going to pay off in the climax or pay off at some point within the movie. And I love we do that here where one very practical thing, we get a taste of the show because we're going to deviate with like giant space lasers and everything. Okay, we're going to need to deviate a little bit. So okay, here's your Recess and everything. A little bit of kind of the opening. We have the theme music. We got the whole 9 yards as they're pulling low operation on like the last day of school. Which, it's raining free ice cream. Who doesn't like free ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
And we think of all the things. We set the voice changer, which of course is going to come into play with all the cover-ups and all these, covering up the all the camp stuff. And the big thing, how the operation gets pulled off, which is how they're going to steal all the files, so they kind of get in the know and can exposit a few things via Gretchen. And also the music. We get our first, with this opening, we had one of our first music choices, which is really great too. The whole dancing in the street thing when school's out and like everyone's run after they do the countdown. There's a lot. Just the whole opening of the movie is just really great, and it gives you a sense of everything you loved about the show. And like, okay, now we're thrown for like, okay, school's out, man. We never really see the school when it's out. We just usually see just kind of the recess section of things. The recess, all the way to hey, we're all dancing in the streets and we're all having fun, and it's a classy way to open your movie, I felt.
And importantly, Dragon, I feel like it gives the main cast, like the main group, each an individual role in the scheme, and that kind of like establishes the characters right off the bat. Yeah,
and also, TJ and Prickly in the office, which of course movie ends with a very nice full circle scene with them in the office. Again, nothing is wasted in the opening. I think that's always I love when we do stuff like that.
Okay, Dragon, now I'm sure you can relate to this. They really got a lot of mileage of the whole, I have a big saggy butt, which I like to scratch every hour on the hour in the marketing, right?
Well, the golf course's therapist is this probably particularly because he told his therapist and just getting some things out there. Is the saggy butt kid?
Why, Principal Prickly, sir? What a surprise!
I love that moment so much. Where Prickly shows up on the roof and it's like there's an entrance for a character, man. Oh, it's great.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's an entrance.
Absolutely. All right.
Sums up their relationship perfectly. The whole Mr. Wilson thing sums it up perfectly. Also, Claudia giving points to Miss Finster's voice actress, of course, the great April Winchell. I believe very popular on Goof Troop as well.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Okay, so then the characters kind of go off into their camp. So let's break them down quickly.
Okay, so basically what we're gonna do here, folks, is also touch on the characters primarily as we're going through the camps here. So first off, basically in which we pick up the kids. That's the way we're going through this here.
Mhm.
Okay, so baseball camp. Vince.
Kind of like a Muppet movie setup almost.
Yeah, let's travel. Someone hit the map button. We're traveling by map. Okay, so one weenie mobile later, we are, or yes, kind of Dumb and Dumber esque, kind of hot, kind of like wiener dog mobile. Anyway, point being, we're floppy dog car going to baseball camp. Tiki, baseball camp, a camp neither of us are suited for. Let's talk about it.
Oh, you're damn right about that. So Vince and the Ashleys, I like the way that they work the Ashleys into this movie in a pretty natural way. And that's what I'm talking about, Dragon. I think it was a really smart move to pair off the main characters with side characters.
Of course, the reason we do this is because there would be no other plot reason that we'd see these characters. Therefore, we want to see them because we like these characters. We want to kind of weave them in there somehow.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Vince, I've got to admit, Dragon, Vince has always been my least favorite of the recess crew, the main crew. Just because I feel like I feel like all the others have very exaggerated personalities, and he's just kind of like, yeah, I'm an athlete. I'm cool. I don't know. He's like he's very much the straight man of the group.
All right, well, just to show you how little there isn't much with Vince, and just to demonstrate that, let me read into it.
No, there's really not.
Let me show you how much I read into it with Vince, that you can tell me how crazy I am on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay, so get ready for this. Okay, so Vince is a character always trying to improve himself and always trying to excel and go pro athlete, which of course kind of feeds in the whole like we're looking towards our futures thing here. He's kind of running into the future at full tilt. This is where we get off the rails here too. Okay, so the coach tells him aim, throw, don't aim, which of course builds the ultimate climax within the film. Vince, don't listen to whatever you were told because you overheard the conversation. Aim,
oh my god. Wow,
so Vince,
that's a big arc, you're right.
I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. So Vince, basically we have like Vince's exceptionalism versus kind of the standard with the whole throw versus the aim thing. Vince aims, kind of the status quo wants, hey, you should throw, man. Just use throw. Just don't think about it. Just throw. Just have fun. Where Vince, again, it's where he excels. And the whole series about, Vince excels in many things because he puts a little extra effort into it, a little almost Fonzian effort into it. And his friend's encouragement, this allows him to, kind of improve versus the camp, which basically I think a lot of, this is my read on all these camp things. I think most of the camps, I think the running theme is camps are kind of a little BS to an extent. It's a money.
Space Camp's kind of cool.
That's what I'm saying. I said there are exceptions. Okay, Space Camp is. I think the theme here is that these kids are doing a lot better without the camp, and I think they're learning the real life lessons. As I'm saying, some camps are more like just kind of money pits. Like, well, we need to send the kids somewhere so we can get them out of our hair for the summer there because they're not in school. Therefore, go to camp. And sometimes the lessons are like more kind of like just we'll let them hang out and we'll get like guys it under like, hey, it's a this camp, it's a that camp. So that's what I'm saying. I think this is like a clever way of teeing up Vince's pivotal role in the whole piece, where Vince saves the day with that aimed baseball.
Whoop-de-doo. I don't really have a lot to add. Right?
I'm aware. I got it. Not a lot there, but I mean, I don't think it's that off. Point being, we set up that he's going to save the day with the aimed baseball. That's about it.
All right. Anything else with the Ashleys besides they're there, and I like that they're a little antagonistic, and then they're not. I don't know.
They're always kind of a little antagonistic, as the whole like unified kind of culty attitude. But point being, the Ashleys here, their accessorizing prowess came in handy for covering for Vince. That was nice, and they got their catchphrase in there. It's not a lot, but Ashley.
Oh God.
Okay, the point again, seriously, I liked some of these characters. We just kind of found a way, at least to work them in there somehow. Ashley's was the biggest stretch out of like how are we going to work these characters in there. I think the next characters, at least there's a little bit of sense there. Okay, now we're going to Space Camp, the coolest of all the camps. Let's be honest.
The Space Camp is the one camp that I would legitimately like to spend some more time in.
Yeah.
I love the little character beat that the teacher is like exasperated by Gretchen.
all the really good questions. She wants
Yeah.
not qualified to answer. She's a camp counselor. She ain't a teacher. Let's be honest.
I don't know. It's like it only comes up like once, but it really informs Gretchen's character for me.
It does, and again, even within this really cool camp, again, we're kind of saying that Gretchen, she's running circles around this camp. This camp isn't really improving her. It's just, again, kind of busy work for her.
Right.
However, I do like this. Of course, the space camp's really cool. The bungee zero gravity thing. That's a really nice gimmick. Like you bounce around a little zero G harness, and like the diggers are like digging like the fake Mars, the fake Mars environment thing. Yeah, that's cool. That's the way we work in the diggers too. We just, importantly, they dig a hole
The
later.
diggers actually have some pretty cool stuff to do in this movie. The giant hole.
Yeah, the giant hole. I love the giant hole, by the way, because I love it.
I love that whole bit, man. That whole bit with Mikey is
it's a great
wonderful.
So
I love that they're just so weirded out by it. Hey, kid, what the heck are you doing?
God. Right. So this David Lynch kid singing like Robert Goulet all of a sudden. What's going on here? So Gretchen here, back to Gretchen. So Gretchen, of course, the main reason it's space camp is we need to establish her interest in space, so we can basically use her as she typically serves the role as Miss Exposition. So she's very much Miss Exposition with all the space stuff here. She basically used the NASA telescope, the space camp telescope, to find out. So she'd be armed with the information about the whole lunae perigium, which basically means when the moon once a month gets close enough to the Earth so they can mess with it and do stuff. So let's see. The point being, I like that I love that she took a stab at the whole. Wait, Mr. Benedict, don't do it. I love that she took a stab at the whole "don't do it" speech. Let's give Gretchen points there.
Oh yeah, and I like that. I like that he just throws it back in her face, just like, "Don't do it, don't do it." After months of planning, you really think "don't do it" is going to stop me? That was a great moment for James Woods.
I love Benedict. He just plays this snide, prickish guy so well. God, all right. Anyways, that's really all I got with Gretchen there. A little bit, basically, Miss Exposition for the whole tractor, sci-fi tractor being with it all. It's pretty much.
Okay. Excuse me. All right, let's move on to the Young Voices training camp.
Okay, so I gotta be honest. This to me seems like it might have been the most BS camp of it all. If I'm gonna be honest, because
Mikey belongs in this camp. I think it's a bunch of BS that all the kindergartners are.
No, here's the thing. I think I hear you, but I'm saying I think it's reversed. Okay, I think.
Oh God!
I think it's intended for the kindergartners here. I think we're just we're just gonna. I think they're ill-equipped to teach Mikey anything. That's what I think.
Well, yeah, because Mikey is obviously like a prodigy.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like Mikey was going. It's like, yeah, it's going to actually help me hone the vocal talent, all that sort of hone my Goulet voice. Which was my favorite conceit. Robert Goulet. I loved it so much. That's what I'm saying. I think it's like this is like, okay, the kindergartners are there, and obviously, okay, we're teaching kids kind of pretty much to sing the bars. I imagine we're just going to sing like the scales and like nothing, maybe a song by the end of the summer, which is not going to really hone Mikey's talent that much. Let's be honest.
Right.
I think it's just like, okay, I think Mikey and his family were taken in by the camp, and I feel bad for them. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I hear you.
That's what I'm saying.
That's interesting.
Hey, this is there's $60 or probably more bike, and I don't know. Point being, it's gonna be a lot. All right. Let's see.
Kindergarteners do have some good stuff to do in this movie, though. They're pretty pivotal to the last battle.
They're the Savage Cavalry for certain. Yes.
They're like the ghost army that comes in at the end of Return of the King.
Pretty much.
I know you don't get that reference, but anyone who's watched Lord of the Rings does.
I know the big cavalry. I want to give me a credit there. I know that much.
Oh, you know the cavalry with all the green ghost guys that come out.
Remember how many times we've used this comparison on JGI on the grab bag, Tiki? Yes, I'm aware of the cavalry moment. The big hill thing. It's about it.
All right. I'm sorry.
Look, I don't know much about that's like pretty much like the only thing in the whole "None Shall Pass." It's about all I got, and I think there's a ring and there's a flying when there could have been less walking. I know that's all I got anyway. So, point being, my lack of Lord of the Rings knowledge aside here. So, Mikey here, I love that he's a champion for romance with a diary bit. Ever the poet, Mikey. I thought it was beautiful. And Mikey is very much kind of the heart and soul of the group. He's very much kind of the big old softy of the group. And his singing makes for an excellent distraction with the. I never caught this until Rich because I love this song a lot more than I watched in childhood. Nissan Dorma is singing some Pavarotti, man. Nissan Dorma, my favorite. Starts off with it, then he gets to like some of the other songs.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
But also, of course, he has the. We'll get to it later. I keep forgetting that we keep taking stuff out and put it back in. Okay, I got it. They were all good. Okay. The winger dinger moment, the big giving away the position with the burp moment, which is.
Yeah, it was fun. All
right.
Okay. So let's get into wrestling camp with Spinelli and the Hustler Kid.
Okay, this is another good camp for Easy. You had a good outlet for this is a good outlet for Spinelli.
It is.
Ever the wrestler, getting to kind of try it out there with no repercussions. And basically, her arc is basically honing her flying press move. It's kind of the runner throughout the whole thing. It's so funny. When they pick her up, like she's in the middle of the dive for the flying press, and she jumps and they just all catch her. It's like just the step her off screen, which is just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much, she gets to scratch the wrestling itch in the climax. And again, I like that she gets a little more respect for Gus throughout the course of the movie. By the way, she's like, "I owe you for this, Griswold. You gave me a kindergartner army, man. I love that." And he's commenting on the wrestling moves. Yeah, a little bit of a nice little, bonding those two friends together a little bit during this movie. That's on the sly, but it's quite nice.
Nice. Okay, and then finally we have military camp with Gus and Bradley. Yes, anything with Hustler Kid?
Oh yeah, Hustler Kid. Again, I think out of all the ones, he was the most logical, kind of plot contrivance that we had. Again, some of these were plot contrivance, some of these were like we just want to get him in there as cameos. But Hustler Kid makes sense. Again, he would be there as a manager, like a fight promoter or something, as a hustler of some kind. And
he's basically just selling contraband, like he does it at the school.
I'm saying, and pretty much like he would cover for it. You owe me a favor.
Yeah.
So again, it makes sense. Basically, we need a Hustler Kid to cover for Spinelli, which makes sense. Gelman's there, but who cares? It's Gelman, so we're just going to move on. Okay, Gelman's. Oh, anyway, we're going to move on because Gelman beat up Gus. We love Gus. Gelman gets that. He gets the back of my hand. Okay.
Right, so speaking of Gus.
Yes, military camp. So let me. If I want to make this statement here. So if Gus wasn't such a nice kid or a patriot, no one in their right minds would go to a military camp like this by choice. Let's be honest. Unless you were
So Gus isn't. He's not like sent here. He's like legitimately excited about it, right?
Yeah, he comes from the military family. He's a nice boy. He's always trying to please his father, and he's always he gets into the military thing because he wants to be.
I can buy that though. I can buy that with his character.
I buy it for Gus. I'm saying outside of Gus though, I always have such a hard time wrapping my mind around like a voluntary military camp because it's usually people are sent them. It's the threat of military camp or boot camp or a military school.
Right.
Who wants to volunteer to get screamed at for 12 weeks? Who wants to Unless you're Steve Rogers or Gus Griswold, you ain't going to military camp by choice.
Oh God.
Anyway, so the point being, Gus does go. What does it do for Gus, Tiki?
Well, it legitimately shapes him up to be basically a Patton-style leader.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. I love seeing Gus into literally Patton with the American flag and everything, which is a great visual too. Just love that. That's the thing. Again, I kind of make the point earlier with like Vince, where again I feel like I could be really into it. I feel like again Camp's just yelling at him, where again his friends encourage him. That's what brings out the leadership in him. I don't think the yelling at him was really getting him anywhere. I think he was already like he was like eager to go. Hey, Bradley, how's it going? We're gonna be military buddies. Like I don't like you, Griswold. It's like. Of course, Gus is big. The other big shining moment in the movie is that stare down with Bradley. This guy's been given all this guff and no respect. Basically, like this glorified, he's kind of like safety guy from the school. He's like, hey, he's got an orange belt and he's a JROTC kid, presumably. He's like, hey, whatever. That's all this kid has, and he's always like riding Griswold's chuck because he's small. So Griswold just he's like, you couldn't lead a glee choir or something like that. as he kind of stares him down. He walks up to him. And I love the stare down because you see only laughing where he says, okay, this guy's not laughing. He's not feeling bad. I'm going to do now. Says, you want to laugh? Fine. Then get out of here. Or fall in line. He's like, I'm not doing any justice, folks, but it's a great moment for Gus. A fist-pumping moment for Gus Griswold, man. We love this kid ever since the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the end of the camp. So let's get to the treehouse, which is, oh man. I mean, this just encapsulates everything I love about this movie, Dragon. It really does. It encapsulates all the nostalgia. And like you said, it's kind of like the, their childhood almost kind of coming to an end, if you will. And I don't know. I love the idea of it. The imagery. It's almost like a Norman Rockwell painting of what the spirit of recess is. You know what I mean? It's like the spirit of recess in a single image is these kids just hanging out, having fun in a treehouse together. And I love that it captures that so well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the treehouse sequence is the heart of the film. It's TJ and the gang in kind of this cozy summer setting. They're reunited after everything. They're reminiscing. And of course, I love the footage in this scene. I love like the whole roast beef and the Rocky Road ice cream. This is just great. Oh boy, roast beef, mashed potatoes, my favorite ice cream. I love that. They're all sharing the ice cream. Like, should we eat the dinner before the dessert? And they're all laughing off Gretchen. Morals. But seriously, basically, they're kind of doing the stakeout with this awesome periscope. And yes, it's just such a great, quiet scene where they realize that their days are numbered. There's no resolution to the conversation. Just the realization, which kind of plants the flag for the ending of the movie, where they're all kind of like, we should hang out for the summer. And the reflections of all the past summer memories and like catching minnows and like carving.
That got me legitimately kind of emotional. I got to admit, Dragon.
I love the just the fun little human details. Like Spinelli couldn't spell her name because they were that young, and she had tricky. S's were tricky for her. It's like adorable. And of course, Gus's. I feel so bad for Gus's realization because again, he's the new kid. Hence the whole premise of the show with him. It's like, I don't have any of these old memories. I never have any memories. Of course, big moment for you, I'm sure. Becky went back when I love the detail. Back when TJ's sister was nice, Becky, teach him a little song.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too.
Yeah,
such great fun.
Speaking of,
they really get a lot of mileage out of Mikey's singing voice in this movie, Trek, and they do.
And you gotta remember, also this again. I mentioned this a little bit.
My green tambourine.
Oh, I love green tambourine, but don't. Okay, what was it? Oh, anyway, what I was saying is, I was saying at the very beginning during the whole recess, during the recess portion. Again, they got they really put the budget into clearing the royalties for the songs and everything, getting the permission to do the songs. Because again, we use a lot of really great music that's befitting of. I don't know, it just feels like it's very jaunty, and of course, some befitting of the '60s, and of course, all the Goulet songs. I'm sure they have to clear. So again, they really got their money's worth with all the Mikey singing mileage, as you said. Right, so speaking of Becky, unless you had anything else you wanted to kind of talk in the old cozy tree.
No.
Let's
It's time to take a pit stop, Dragon. It's time to get some food.
All this talk of roast beef and ice cream is making me peckish. I don't know about you. Let's get some floppy burger, man.
All right, so Becky does have kind of a mini character arc in the movie, of kind of her and TJ getting a little bit of a mutual respect for one another. That's nice. I think the diary bits are a little mean-spirited, honestly. I'm kind of on Mikey's side about it.
True. So Becky, she's trying to manage a summer job. Again, she's trying to get more responsibility and trying to grow up, which again, kind of theme of the movie, theme of the whole summer change, all that sort of thing. And again, all this kind of gives her a little bit of a crabby demeanor. She's crabby, and again, justifiably with the whole diary blackmail. But even before that, she had a really bad attitude at the start of this movie. Let's be honest, like Jerkweiler or something like that. Just really good. They're T-jerk, I think she got a point. She called him some nasty stuff. Point being, she was, again, that doesn't make her a bad person. It just makes her a little crabby working a summer job, and who can blame her? So I love that this puts her in conflict. By the way, the first appearance of Becky, like I didn't even know TJ before this movie. I had no idea TJ had a sibling because I don't know if it was purely invention for the movie or if it was kind of an illusion that he had a sister. I don't know, but I love that she's in conflict with the youthful TJ. Maybe that also contributes to the crabby demeanor a little bit to her. Again, like this is what Prickly's talking about. You kids don't know how lucky you have it. Where Becky, unlucky. And I guess Becky's kind of arc in the movie is like she through this little adventure. Like you need to slow down, enjoy things with this little adventure. You know, you don't complain. You're driving from point A to point B. You know, like bask in the adventure. You're stopping a conspiracy. Help
Oh
you
man.
One of the best moments in the movie, like one of the top 5 moments. A lot of great moments in this movie. You probably guessed by now, folks. Well, let me hit you with another one. Stay put. Mikey's moment to Becky is one of the greatest moments in the movie where, oh, God, this is where one of Mikey's crowning moments outside of the singing voice. Outside of the singing voice, one of Mikey's moments here where she says, why should I help him? He's threatened to blackmail my diary. He's never done anything nice for me. Like, why should I help him? Mikey just point blank says it, man. He says,
because he's your little brother and he needs you.
Not a dry eye in the house, buddy boy. There's a line for you. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we don't have the supplies and some of our ammunition for the big finale without her as well. You know, the whole ketchup, mustard, and the soda bombs and all that.
True.
Okay, speaking of the climax.
Yes. Well, first of all, Dragon, I love the build of the mystery of what's going on in the school. I really do think they kind of slow burn it to great effect. Where, at first it's just like, oh, what's this green light going on? And then, oh my God, Prickly vanished. And Dragon, I don't know about you, but that was always like a huge moment for me in this movie. Even when I rewatch it, it's like you're so invested in the Prickly character and you're like, no!
I gotta admit, though, I'm with you there because again, big fan of Prickly going into that as well. When he vanishes and just leaves the charred shoes behind as a kid, freaked me out. But I gotta be honest, looking back on it now, complete BS. Like again, how does that even work? How does he disappear?
Oh, it is BS for sure. But
it's effective. That's what I'm saying. He got so invested, and it's like, wait,
yeah.
He was atomized. That is and it's like saying, okay, I'll give you a tractor beam, all right? I'll give you.
And then you got the fake Prickly with the Clancy Brown guy. It's, I just think all the mystery in this movie is really well handled.
It is, and the cover up and all that. Because again, think about it. Prickly's car would just be sitting out there, so people would ask about it. And again, I keep forgetting about this until I revisit the movie. Prickly is married. I keep forgetting that Prickly's married.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. So yeah, absolutely, it would like people would be looking for him if he disappeared. And again, like when TJ. He's saying like a principal. I forget if he went to the cops after this point saying Prickly's disappeared. I think you imagine he would. Anyway,
I think so.
Regardless, you think they would follow up on that sort of thing? Oh God, the principal has been killed. I think we should look into that. But regardless, though, it's just this like I'll give him a tractor beam just for the sake of the story, but a teleporter? How do we have a teleporter?
Yeah.
Anyway,
we don't care.
I know. I just really, I wish they did. I just wish it was like a blinding. I really just wish it was like a blinding light, and then we just like maybe like the logic of they opened the door and TJ's didn't see all the blinding light at all. But I that was anyway. Point being, yes. Go back to your plot thing. Go on.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's really well, and it's paced really well too. There's a lot of beats to it. It keeps up the mystery. It keeps your intrigue up, Dragon, even on a rewatch, I think. Yeah,
I really like how if you look at the setting for the big kind of climax, the big kind of fight scene, if you will. Not really I guess, well, there's fighting, but it's more like wrestling moves.
It's a bit of a brawl. It's a wee bit of a brawl.
Yeah, you're right. There are punches are thrown. It's a fight, I guess. Anyway, I love within all that. If you look, I can only assume. Bear in mind, they really retrofitted out there for like the science of it all. Because again, I'm convinced they're in the cafeteria because you have that little the second level.
They're in the auditorium. They said.
Really? Oh yeah. I guess. Oh yeah. You're right. You're right because the sign on the little light switch. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's weird because I kept thinking the cafeteria because it had like the red railing, which is always like on that little, second level. They have like all the announced little catwalk area. But point being, I like how we retrofitted the school for a lot. We use the location as much as we could. And like when we go to Prickly's office, we like William just to dig the knife in further. He spray painted Prickly's office in like an anti-recess thing. Is it a bit of a buy? Sure. Is it cool though? Pretty much, yeah. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's a cool way of like saying this guy's a bad, messed up dude. spray painted office, and anyway, the point being, obviously, yeah, we used our real estate within the school really well here.
Sure, sure.
I mean, I love how everyone
And
in
then
the cavalry comes back. I love everyone has a part, like King Bob and the gang all throwing the balls, and the henchmen, Spinelli with the kindergartners.
yeah, like I said, it kind of has that Avengers Endgame effect. You know,
Yeah.
it's like none of these characters really have arcs, but they all have good moments.
Someone play that Portal theme, stat.
Recess, school's out, the Avengers Endgame before Avengers Endgame. It's that epic.
Oh, God.
Now I'm just picturing like the end fight, but with da 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 da.
I don't think it's quite catching Mjolnir anytime soon, Tiki, but it's fun. So, anyways, of course, Miss Brokey showing up in like almost like a Kill Bill karate suit, practically. It's like, I know it's not the like one of the old martial arts suits. Anyway, the
I
neighbor.
I love how at the end of it, it's like Finster's like, "Hey, Grokey, what do you say? My boxing versus your martial arts?" Well, I don't know. I'm not supposed to use it. I'm only supposed to use it for self-defense.
God bless Miss Grokey. I love she's still like the perpetual hippie, so she's perfect. Yeah, it's amazing. Maybe a little bit more with the '60s connected with all that, but yeah, I'll go with it anyway. So let's see. Of course, Prickly gets to punch out Philium with this awesome. Hey, Philium, you got a spot on your tie. Oh, what? She's punch. Oh, it's great. Like, yeah, he used his own vanity against him. Yeah, his whole me, selfish dynamic. It was his undoing. Yeah. Of course, by the way, speaking of like the fun James Woods kind of like refuting the old cliches gag, TJ's big triumphant, like you can't take away summer vacation, we'll play in the snow, and all that sort of stuff. Really great triumphant speech. And of course, they had the inspirational music behind it. Everything is James Woods has this perfect response. Well, I can try. Well, I can sure try. It's great.
All right.
And lastly, kind of our epilogue here, kind of like the pond.
I like that we see the pond and the green tambourine is great and everything, but Dragon, I love that last image of like, go on, Detweiler, it's a nice summer day out and your pals are waiting for you. Oh man, it's just God knocks it out of the park, and then the last shot of them running for the pond.
Go have some fun while you can.
Yeah.
And of course, calling him Tej and calling him Pete. And it's like, and him with the medallion. It's a beautiful.
It's perfect, Dragon. It's perfect. I love it.
And again, if it were the final note you ever hit with Recess, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
We have like let the sun shine in playing as like we do the full that we go full circle with that 3D neighborhood shot. Which again, if you look at it,
I think the 3D shot works a lot better in the outro than it does in the intro. Honestly,
they're going for a circular thing. That's why it's in the they want to open with scale and show. Again, it's like the Phantasm. They want to show we're in the big leagues. Again, play a lot better than Phantasm. Let's be honest. Anyway. Anyway, so let's see. So the friends are united for the summer. They're by the pond, and of course, Green Tambourine. Love it so much. Oh my God, it's you see the '60s versions of the Recess gang. After we spent some fun time, you go in this movie, they knew like the '60s was going to be a big pivotal part of the plot. So you know what, we got to bask in the '60s. How rarely can we see a '60s version of Recess? Like what other project or story are we going to be able to pull this off?
Ooh, there you go. There's a spinoff right there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll give you that.
60s Recess. That could be interesting.
Yeah,
not using the same characters in Recess setting, just like a time period Recess series.
Sure. I'll go for it. All right. Okay. That's the thing. So again, the Green Tambourine is probably one of my favorite of the Goulet renditions of the songs they did Recess, because it's such a nice sequence, such a really jazzy, colorful sequence, and I love like the listen while I play, did all the effects every time. Like it made Michael like infinite for a moment there. It was like, oh, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Prickly on his little drum set. I love Prickly on his little drum set. They worked. Okay, that's enough. Let's get back to the kids. All right. Well, they did like the multi too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so final thoughts, Dragon, or the final destination, I should say.
Yeah. All right. I guess. For me, this is a proper ending for Recess. Closes the loop very properly. It adds, we add stakes, maybe a little little too big in play. Again, they took a miracle exception with, yeah, we got to stop summer vacation. The only way you can really think about doing that is with the tractor beam. Do they go bigger than the Recess wheelhouse in that regard? Yes, but again, if they weren't so grounded in all the other elements, I don't think it would work. If they weren't as great with those character moments as we had in all the other plays. It is we ground the story in the relationships and the dynamics and the characterizations that we can get away with something, that one big miracle exception,
Mm.
One of Disney's biggest TV to big screen successes out of all the ones they've done.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially the ones that went theatrical like this one. I mean, this one did make money. It wasn't a renowning success, but I want to say it did make money, and I think a lot of that is because it had such a built-in audience. It was a beloved show with an intrinsic relatability to the characters and nostalgia. For a lot, nostalgia for the moments of school that didn't stink. Essentially, it's kind of what Recess's bread and butter was, and it's again, it's at its best. Recess, the show, is at its best when it has those heartfelt and earned moments, and I think the film mirrors that very well. It's a great experience. It's a nostalgic favorite for a lot, and again, it doesn't hold up to all the scrutiny, but it holds up to all the important scrutiny.
Yeah, final thoughts for me. Like I said, Dragon, as the years go by and, as I become more and more of a jaded adult man, if you will.
Jaded adult man.
This really does hold up, man. It holds up so well. And of course, it's a great transition from, from being relatable, from TJ being the most relatable character in the movie to now, like, oh man, I'm really vibing with Prickly, man.
Yeah.
I'm closer to Prickly's age and Prickly's sensibilities.
Okay, come on, he's like 50, man. Let's.
Okay, and I'm 30. That's still closer in age than TJ.
Hey, okay, fine. Keep going.
So I'm just saying.
Well, you're not golfing anytime soon, is all I'm saying. All right,
I enjoy a good putt every now and then.
It's not the. Okay, go on.
I know it's not. That's what we need to see. We need to see Howard Hamlin in a putt golf tournament.
I just want to see him golf because we know he golfs. I just want to see that.
All right. Anyways, so I really think this is up there with the likes of something like, the DuckTales movie or The Rescuers Down Under or a Goofy movie in terms of just being such a wonderful, underrated animated film in the Disney canon. It's no one ever really talks about this movie. I looked up on YouTube, and the most popular review of it is a Disney December review, and frankly, Doug kind of misses the point of the movie in some ways with his review. So, not a lot of people talk about it. I feel like more people look back fondly on the series, as they should. It's a great series, but I feel like this is such a perfect capper to the series that it really should be looked at as like the Mask of the Phantasm for Recess, and it's really not, unfortunately. It really doesn't have that clout behind it, and it kind of should. So that's my final thoughts, Dragon. I think it's very underrated, wonderful, wonderful film, great lessons, great use of the characters, really, really nostalgic. I can't say enough good things about it. All right. Well, folks, it's time for the flight home. Don't forget to stow your luggage and fasten your seatbelts. You'll be home shortly, but don't you fret. We'll be taking off before you know it on our next Animation Vacation. John J. Whoa. Let's not try and do this in unison.
All right, okay, dude. Okay, you do.
I got this.
Okay, go. I thought we were doing a thing, but by all means.
No, I'm sorry. If we tried to do it in unison, it would sound.
Oh, you're right. Go on, do your thing.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever I go out, the people always shout, "There goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt."